All right, folks, it's 9:30. We will call the Cumberland County Salary Board and Board of Commissioners meeting to order, and we'll begin with the roll call, please.
Commissioner Meter,
Here.
Commissioner Fauci,
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger, Controller Wickham.
Is there any public comment to be made at this time before the Salary Board? Lauren, is there anyone online that, if there is anyone that would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand feature? No one at this time? All right, we will go into the approval of the minutes of the August 29th Salary Board meeting.
I'll move to approve.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is the approval of the Salary Board actions.
I'll move to approve.
It's moved. Is there a second? It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business to come before the Salary Board at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment from the Salary Board.
So moved.
We are adjourned from that. We will go into the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Actually, now I guess we'll call it to order and begin with the roll call.
Commissioner Meter,
Here.
Commissioner Fauci,
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Is there any public comment on non-agenda items to be made at the Board of Commissioners meeting? Lauren, is there anyone on there? Nope. Okay. We will go into, as I always say, the best part of the meeting. And that is, we would like to recognize Paul Polensky at this time for his 17 years of service to Cumberland County. Paul? Be careful, they're really slippery. Well, congratulations, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I do have a funny little.
Oh, boy.
I know. Cumberland County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes and honors Paul Polensky, who's the Director of Criminal Justice Services for the past 6 years. Paul has served as the Director of Criminal Justice Services, playing a pivotal role in the success of Tom's Court and the Overdose Intervention Court. Drawing from his extensive experience in treatment court, he has provided both programs with a solid foundation. Paul is well known and beloved by team members and participants alike, despite his attempt to portray himself as a surly, inflexible curmudgeon. Aside from donating his best suits to charity, he plans to relax and cruise the streets in his purple Bandit Beamer. It is with extreme appreciation that the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners recognizes and commends Paul Polensky for 17 years of service and dedication to the residents of Cumberland County. Best wishes on your retirement, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
My aspirations when I started with the county were just to be able to serve my community, and those aspirations have been fulfilled 100-fold. And I'm very grateful for all the opportunities I've had to do that and for the opportunities to meet great employees in Cumberland County and work with them.
Thank
And
you.
I'll miss everything. I'll miss them.
Stacy, would you like to come up and get in the
Yeah,
picture as well? That down.
Congratulations. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but it's been a pleasure working with you.
Well, that's what makes the world. go round.
Exactly.
Okay, Stace, if you could tuck it just a little bit, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving this forward.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
And
it.
I believe the court is always looking for dedicated tipstaff.
Tips.
Yeah. Well, I already got the crossword puzzles down.
Oh, this isn't mine.
I know. Did we trade chairs?
Yes. That's funny. Thank you. We will roll into the consent agenda.
Okay, so the consent agenda is a list of routine items that do not appear to be controversial in nature, do not appear to require any additional discussion. If anyone would desire discussion on any agenda items number 5 through 12, now would be the time to make that request.
Yeah, I'd like to ask that the personnel transactions allow me the opportunity to oppose one position.
Okay, so the agenda item number 6 would be pulled and handled separately from the consent agenda. Hearing no additional requests, seeing no additional requests, commissioners, I would request approval of the consent agenda with the exception of agenda item number 6.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Stacy?
And then commissioners, I would request discussion and approval of agenda item number 6, approval of personnel transactions.
Okay, someone like to make a motion so we can have a discussion surrounding this?
I will move for adoption of the personnel transactions with the exception of position code CY 2074. My intention is to post a new position, but I'm supportive of filling existing positions.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Say that again.
I've proposed that we approve.
It's not a motion,
I
right?
move that we approve all of them with the exception of CY 2074.
And what is CY 2074 again?
It's a new hire in children.
I'll second.
Okay. It's moved and seconded. I think we need to have some discussion surrounding this matter. So there is a position that is being requested of our Children and Youth Department. It appears that it's the casework supervisor that the department head is requesting. And Gary, you have opposition to that.
I do.
Would you like to elaborate? We had a meeting, an extensive meeting with the director who outlaid the plan of action for her department.
Right.
It illustrated the need for the positions due to the increased growth within her department and caseloads. So I'm curious to the objection.
My objection, very simply, as I stated, is I'm opposing the filling of the new position. The plan, I don't believe, was well conceived. So I'm opposing new positions, but I'm supportive of filling the existing positions.
Okay. I'll just remind you, and for folks that may be interested in this matter, our personnel in the Children and Youth Department have seen double-digit year-over-year growth for the last 5 years, I believe, has been some of the information that's been relayed to us. They have held their staffing at a level that has been a challenge, and they
recently met with us to elaborate their desire to move forward with some of the new hires. These salaries come at a cost to the taxpayer of less than 20% of the overall cost of the work. So
Who pays for the 80%?
yes, the other 80% is subsidized by the state to
Yes.
provide these services. So if there is an area within the county that has need, and it's been illustrated that there is in that area, I feel very comfortable with providing support of the expansion of that particular staff. So.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it also, and it is an area where we need additional employees. And I get this, people have called me and told me, like, don't be hiring people, don't be doing this. And I just am gonna ask this question because I'm gonna ask two questions, and I don't really care if I get answers either. Nikki came to us, laid out this plan. So I've heard Commissioner Eichelberger say that he thinks it was ill-conceived. So my first question is, did you offer her anything new? And my second point is this. Which kid are you gonna tell has to suffer from neglect or abuse? Which ones? Because that's what happens when we do not fund these positions. Which child needs to suffer from abuse and neglect? And I don't need an answer, but that's something to think about. We have a demand for services in this county that is extreme. We have a growing population. We have every one of our human services is taxed. All of these things build upon each other. There's a domino effect when we don't take care of one of our human services. The problem appears in the next one. So as you're writing your opinion or doing whatever you do about this, you let me know which ones have to suffer from abuse and neglect.
And Gary, I think it would have been appropriate during the discussions if you had asked questions. I know you indicated you would follow up with Nikki. I don't know if that took place. But it puts this board in a difficult position when you show up at meetings and don't engage and don't ask questions and then choose to take it in a public forum. So we can move on from here with the vote, and you can, at the end of this meeting, go email the Sentinel.
So after this vote, I'll do another motion, but I'll need to know which one I'm gonna move to approve, please, because that would have been nice to have known before the meeting, also to have been prepared for this. Would have been good to know.
Would have been professional.
Yes.
So the motion that's on the table is to approve all but the new hire position. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, no,
No, hold on a second.
no, I think it the vote.
You're voting for action to deny filling one position and approving the others,
And
Okay.
then they can fill the position with a separate.
Exactly.
not the individual position. No,
We can't.
you do another motion.
Yes, that's what we
If this
said.
doesn't pass, you do another motion to approve the law.
Okay, say that again, Keith.
So
Say it
The
again.
motion is do not fill one position, but approve the others. That's the motion that Commissioner Eichelberger made. If you approve that motion, it's done.
Oh, so we can't add in children and youth 2074.
Well, I'll walk you everybody through it. What you do is you vote no, you vote no.
we're gonna deny this
You vote
motion and
yes.
then we'll make
And then
another.
someone makes another motion.
Yeah.
So
That way I am compelled to vote against the entire proposal instead of the one position.
No, you're not.
It's just the way it goes.
Listen, no,
Will you let the solicitor answer the legal
You-
question?
Yeah, sure.
when the second motion happens, you vote, I assume, in favor, you vote in favor. You vote in favor with the exception of the one position,
So there's one vote.
right? The second vote will be all positions. If you do the first one, you've already denied the one position to be filled. If you do Commissioner Eichelberger's motion,
I have
No,
no
okay.
intention of voting for that motion.
Knowing about these things ahead of time
Cool.
would have eliminated all of this nonsense.
call, so I.
I'll call the question.
Questioning.
Okay, I'd like to call the question on the motion on the table, which is to approve all positions with the exception of the new position for children and youth. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, signify by saying no.
No,
No. So that leaves us with another motion that we need to take in action surrounding the positions. So Jean, would you like to make a motion approving all of this?
yes, I will move to approve the personnel transactions.
I will second that motion. Is there any discussion surrounding that?
Keith, so my response is to vote yes with an exception. Thank you.
So I will call the question on the motion on the table. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye with the exception of the aforementioned position.
There we have it. We will move on.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. That takes us then to the regular agenda, which is a list of non-routine items that will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. And we'll start with agenda item number 13, which is discussion and possible motion to authorize the issuance of a request for proposals for solar energy facilities on county-owned property. We've got Kirk Stoner on Zoom to provide some discussion. Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. Item is
can't
before
hear
you
you.
now.
There we go.
Oh,
No, we hear you now. We hear you. We hear you.
good now? Okay. All right, good. It's low voltage government equipment here we're trying to deal with, so sometimes it doesn't work. Working now, so. Commissioners, what's before you now is an RFP for consideration of a potential solar project on county-owned property. We had a recent information meeting on this to outline what the RFP would include. And really, the RFP is in response to a lot of vendor requests we had for meetings with the board or meetings with staff to outline proposals they had for how solar energy could work for Cumberland County. So the idea would be we put the RFP out, we advertise it on PennBid. Any operation, business, vendor that's interested in responding can do so. They would provide us a technical proposal of how the solar project would be engineered and designed, and they would also have a financial plan talking about all the grants, incentives, loans, financial plan that could make the project work for us. The board could then review it, discuss it with the proposals, and determine if we want to move forward with the project. By putting out the RFP, there is no requirement for the county to continue on and move forward with the project if we determine either the technical or financial plan isn't applicable or good for Cumberland County. I would propose if we do this, we would advertise it on PennBid. We have a field meeting that we could encourage with Brent and I to go out and show the vendors the site so that they're fully understanding of what they're doing, and then give them a period of a few weeks to respond to the RFP.
Any questions for Kirk?
I don't. Kirk, thank you for taking such a methodical approach as usual to this process. And I view this as just another step to see what the information results for us, and appreciate the time and attention you've given this. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move for the authorization to advertise as stated.
Second? Jean?
Is it an authorization to advertise? Is that the
Yes.
appropriate way to frame it? Because it's not,
Yes, it
it's
is.
not the way it's written. Okay, I will second it.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
Thank
you,
you.
commissioners. Thanks, Kirk.
Thank you.
We've got Claudia Garner joining us to discuss and seek approval for the acceptance of a number of donations for the 2024 LEPC Summit. Good morning, Claudia.
Good morning, everybody. The Local Emergency Planning Committee, known as the LEPC, is hosting their one-day conference that'll bring together local business partners, emergency management, first responders, and local government to one location where they can interact before an emergency occurs to learn about relevant topics in today's safe and oriented world. We are very fortunate that we have $5,000 worth of sponsorships that we are asking for the board's approval to accept. Those are at our bronze level for $250 each, Vitro Architectural Glass, Hickory Ridge Restaurant and Catering, Secure Wire Technologies Incorporated, and Pennsylvania One Call System Incorporated. At our silver level for $500 each is Tucky Restoration Incorporated, PA American Water, Hilton's Lock and Security, and Serve Pro of Harrisburg West. And at our gold level of $1,000 each is The Giant Company and Advanced Disaster Recovery. All of these total up to $5,000, and that brings us to 19 sponsors collectively that have partnered up to support this mission. So we're just asking for your approval to accept these donations.
Claudia, when you were reading them, I felt like I was in a game show, but I so appreciate their support of this event, and I know you do as well. But if there's anything that this board can do to acknowledge that, we would welcome the opportunity. So I know we're trying to be there and attend. So thank you very much, and I'll entertain a motion unless anyone has questions of Claudia.
Yeah, I will move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you, commissioners. Thanks, Claudia.
Thank
That
you.
takes us to, agenda 15, which is the start of contracts, and I'll turn the meeting over to Angela Smyser.
Thank you, Stacy. Good morning, everybody. Moving on to item 15, I'll call on Kim Winton to discuss the contracts for aging and community services. Good morning, Kim.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, commissioners. Carlisle Cares and Domestic Violence, they provide emergency shelter services. Safe Harbor provides bridge housing for homeless individuals. Contact Helpline provides information referral services. These are all addendums for fiscal year 23-24, and we're able to provide additional funding to these agencies due to having unspent funds in the Homeless Assistance Program and the Human Services Development Fund. The Salvation Army provides senior center services, and this is also an addendum for 23-24 fiscal year with additional funding available through the Aging Block Grant. So we're asking approval for these addendums for 23-24.
Any questions for Kim?
Kim, other than the good news of Paul's retirement, this is also good news. It's nice
Yes.
we actually have to expand services with funding. So
Yes, they're very happy about this.
I'll move for approval. The contracts is outlined.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 16, I'll call on Jamie Reiber to discuss the single contract for children in youth today. Just one for you, Jamie.
Just one, and it's pretty cheap, actually. UPMC Child Advocacy Center of Central PA conducts our forensic interviews for any child that is alleged to have been abused. They are only requesting one increase, and that is just 10 cents to their mileage reimbursement rate for when they have to testify in court. So that's the only change to the contract from last year.
Any questions for Jamie?
Jamie, that's good news from you too on some level compared to what we normally see. So thank you.
It sure is.
Ask for a motion, please.
I would ask if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the contract for.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 17, I will call on Brooke Weary to discuss the contract for Conservation District. Good morning, Brooke.
Good morning.
Hi, Brooke.
Thanks for having me here today. I'm presenting a landowner agreement form and letter of commitment to allow Pennsylvania's Fish and Boat Commission in partnership with Western Pennsylvania Conservancy to install fish habitat structures on the banks of Mountain Creek on approximately 50 feet of county-owned property. The property in question is on Lakeside Drive in Mount Holly Springs. The Mountain Creek Trout and Conservation Club approached me with concerns of stream bank erosion at this location. Fish and Boat designed a plan to install structures on 280 feet of Mountain Creek, and these structures are built to last for up to 75 years and are designed to armor the banks and direct water to the center of the stream to reduce erosion. As for funding this project, I'm working with HRG's environmental engineering consultants in applying for countywide action plan funding from DEP this fall. And this project will help further our overall goals in reducing sediment pollution to the Chesapeake Bay. So I'm asking commissioners to sign the landowner agreement and letter of commitment between the county, Fish and Boat, and partnering agencies to allow for fish habitat structures to be installed on the county property.
Any questions for Brooke?
Brooke, I think in one of my earliest meetings here, there was this a similar thing that was conducted along another stream? Do you happen to know?
Possibly.
Or was that just
Or was
some
that
bank?
road?
There was some embankment just shoring up perhaps, not necessarily for fish habitat.
Okay, possibly.
Yeah, I know, we're both kind of new
Yeah.
at
And
it.
you know, we,
I think there was something that was at Barnett's. And then there's
okay,
another project on the Yellow Breeches
I was
as
just
well.
okay,
curious
before
if
my
we
time.
knew the success of those projects as it relates to this one. I think it's wonderful. It's a lovely stream out in Mount Holly and
Yeah, I think a lot of fishermen very happy as well. Have
Yeah.
Trout around.
exactly.
Any other questions for Brooke?
No, and I move for approval.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Fresh.
Thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item 18, I will call on Eric Ragnovich to discuss a grant acceptance for the District Attorney's Office FID. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm asking to formally accept a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance for $284,000 to support all things DNA in our laboratory.
All things DNA.
All things DNA, I know.
Any questions for Eric?
None from me.
Don't have any.
Sean, did you want to comment on that at this time?
Eric has it.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion, please.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Eric.
Thanks, Commissioners. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 19, I will call on Ryan Simon to discuss the contract for drug and alcohol. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. White Deer Run provides inpatient drug and alcohol treatment services at 7 different locations across the state. The rates have been reviewed by the home counties, and if we end up sending people for these services, we would use state and federal funds. At their Allen Wood location, they provide 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5 and 3.5 enhanced. They're asking for 3%, 5%, and 4% increases. At Cove Forge, they provide 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5 high, 3.5 high enhanced, and 2.5 partial. And they're asking for 6% and 7% increases. At Lancaster County, they provide 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5, 3.5 high enhanced, and they're asking for increases of 7% and 9%, and then 8% for the 3.5 high enhanced. At Lehigh, they provide 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5 high, 3.5 high enhanced, and they're asking for increases of 5%, 6%, and 4%. At New Perspectives, they provide 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5 high, 3.5 high enhanced, asking for increases of 10%, 4%, and 6%. At their York Davies location, they're asking for, or they have 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5 high, and 3.5 enhanced. They're asking for increases of 9% and 5%. At their York Zion location, they provide 3.7 withdrawal management, 3.5 high, 3.5 high enhanced, and 2.5 partial, and asking for increases of 5%, 8%, and 9%. Any questions?
None from me. Thank you. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
That takes us to item 20, and I will call on Mark Evans to discuss the contracts for MHIDD. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. We have 7 contracts to present today. The first is for early intervention services, an increase of $314 for International Corporate Training and Marketing LLC. For intellectual and developmental disabilities, we have an amendment to our 23-24 contract for a $285,000 increase for our HICU through Advocacy Alliance. This is all state-funded money, which is specific to an increase in responsibilities for the HICU. For KenCrest Services, we have a decrease of $431 for our contract for 24-25. The next four are all mental health contracts, a $2,000 decrease for 24-25 for Care Options RX LLC. And that's a decrease based on prior fiscal year billing. For the Cumberland County Housing and Redevelopment Authority, we have an $84,000 decrease. That is due to just doing the 6-month contract. Keystone Service Systems is similar. This is a 6-month contract with an $84,000 decrease. I'm sorry, that was the Redevelopment Authority. For Keystone Service Systems, it's a $367,128 decrease. And for York County Transportation, doing business as Rapid Transit, we have a $64,244 decrease. Again, that was due to just doing a 6-month contract with them. Are there any questions for me?
Now, Mark, I know that Annie has really met with all of these vendors, and it's a painful process for her, but this is part of the action that we are having to take, unfortunately, in light of our projected $3 million deficit in mental health funding. So while we are not canceling services, we are scaling some back and not obligating for the full year. So
Service systems, things like that. And transportation.
I don't think the York Rapid Transit, we stopped at Keystone.
But yeah, commissioners, I just want to point out that the MHIDD contracts have a contract grant term on the cover sheet form of 7/1/2024 through 12/31/2025. I believe those should all be 6/30 of 2025. Would you agree, Mark?
Actually, Stacy, I think it's 24.
12/31 of 2024.
Oh, correct.
Should be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone altered them to 25, and I don't think they meant to.
Sorry, I looked at the front. I think the term was modified elsewhere.
Yeah. So these are 6-month contracts for the contract beginning with the Redevelopment Authority, it looks like.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like the contracts are correct. It just looks like someone updated the cover sheet from 24 to 20. Looks like it was whited out and then 25 was written in, but it should be 2024. I just want to make everybody aware of that.
So the motion just needs to reflect the date.
Yeah, I'm fixing that now.
But the contracts are correct.
Contracts.
This is a very good question.
Yeah,
I just
let's
want
make
to
sure that
double
the
check.
contracts are correct, because what we're really doing is buying a 1.5-year contract.
Instead of 6 months.
Right.
I'm actually going to defer to the solicitor to show him the term. It's right there. Yeah, under uniform terms and conditions, is that adequate?
Incorporates uniform terms and conditions applicable to MHIDD office contracts for fiscal year 24 to 25. What's fiscal year 24 to 25? Is that July 1,
That's through
24?
June 30,
25?
25.
But the
The
intent is,
contract term has July 1, 24 to December 31, 2025.
Yeah, it looks like that was weighted out, so I don't, that should be 24.
July 1, 24 to December 31, 24.
That is correct. That's what it
Okay.
should be.
I would ask that you make the motion subject to that contract term.
Okay.
And if there's anything that needs to be adjusted afterwards, we can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
What was the contract term again? For this?
July
July 1, 24.
to 12/31/2024. So, and it's the Cumberland County Housing, Keystone Services. Gary, would you like to craft the motion, please?
I will move for approval of the contracts as outlined to include the adjusted or amended contract term. Let's see, for July 1 of this year, 2024 to December 31 of this year, 2024. Is that sufficient? Solicitor? Okay, that's my motion.
So I have a question, solicitor. We're approving all the contracts at agenda item 20.
Correct.
We don't want to amend the term on all of those contracts,
No.
just on the 3.
I thought he was referring to the Cumberland County Housing and Redevelopment Authority contract.
I don't know what he was referring to. Keystone Systems and York County Transportation.
Those 3.
I believe all 3 of those need to be.
Okay. With that clarification, is that acceptable?
Yes, in terms of the
Are
motion.
we doing 2 votes on this then?
1.
1, and we're fine with just clarifying on those 3 contracts?
Yes.
Okay, then I will second. Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much, Mark. Sorry. I
Thank
was
you all.
shutting down. All right, that takes us to agenda item 21. We have Adrienne Vaughn here to discuss a grant application for victim services. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. As anticipated, we did see a 5% decrease in this year's PCCD funding for the Rights and Services Act and the Victims of Juvenile Offenders Act. That brought us to about $191,000 that we had available. And to break it down even more, it was $139,072 for RAZA and $52,491 for VOJO. The majority of this goes to salaries and benefits. I think we threw in a training because we are required by PCCD to attend at least 10 hours of continuing training every year. So we put in a little bit of money for training. We're really trying to find local trainings. Webinars, finding the time to do the trainings is a whole other story. But we're just asking permission to and approval to submit the application for the RAZA VOJO for 2025.
Adrienne, you mentioned that it's a reduction. Is that the first time it's been reduced?
For RAZA VOJO, yes, that was our first time seeing a 5%. We saw it with VOCA and now we're seeing it with RAZA VOJO. We'll see what 2026 brings.
Yes, so there's no-
PCCD is taking a 1-year approach to budgets. It used to be a longer term period. Each grant would be 2 to 3 years, and now they're just kind of giving it to us a year at a time to see what the funding
Right,
is
for the
available.
future. Big question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Did they give you any indication, Adrienne, why they're just trying to get more control over their funding streams to put it to a year only? It's hard to.
I think they're trying to play it safe. And if they do a 2-year budget, then they have to make sure they have the funds in place, and the funds always kind of come behind what comes to us. So we're always trying to play catch up a little bit. So by playing it safe, then we can make sure they have the money available for next year. And then usually it's about halfway through the year, we get the budget and the allocation amounts for the following year. So I'll cross my fingers that it goes back up, but as long as it stays the same,
Or at least
I don't want to keep
steady.
seeing a decrease, but.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you.
Any other questions?
None from me. Someone would like to make a
I
motion?
will move to approve the PCCD RASA VOJO grant application of $191,563 for victim services.
I will second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. And with that, I will hand the meeting back over to Stacy.
Thanks, Angela. And that takes us to agenda item 22, which is Commissioners' Liaison Reports, and Commissioner Nader, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks, no major meetings. The Ag Board meeting was canceled. So it was mostly just community involvement and engagement. And there were a couple of really wonderful things I do want to highlight. Both Commissioner Fashi and I attended an excellent discussion on the issues surrounding childcare that was hosted by the Cumberland County Commission for Women. And boy, did they put on a nice event, really excellent quality speakers. And there was a wonderful sense of engagement with the room and audience. And it is their hope to turn that into a white paper. It's becoming it's always been an issue, but it's become more extreme in this economy. The one young woman in attendance indicated she spends $2,200 a month on childcare for 2 small children. And that is a mortgage payment for certainly for some. So it was it's an attempt to elevate that issue and engage with, quite frankly, legislative action to hopefully help more than currently. The whole board attended the Legislators' Day at the Williams Grove Historical Steam Engine, and boy, I had the number of volunteers it takes to get all of that equipment out and for show, and the length of their event is something. It takes a ton of people to make it happen.
What was really cool about that
Yeah.
is that they took us on this tour. And they took us over to the old merry-go-round. And that carousel building was purchased by the group, and they are moving it to their property. And it was just amazing, and just even being permitted to be on that property was great. And then I heard a really great story about Punxsutawney Phil. So it was I had such a good time and talking with everyone and learning things I had no idea had ever happened in Cumberland County. So
yeah, it is a hidden gem, I think, for sure. I attended the Cretic Policy Pulse speaker event. They had Stacy Garrity talking about the items that the Treasurer's Department, the State Treasurer's Department is doing. We had a young representative there that attended one of our meetings to talk about some of the actions, and she continues to plod along, giving back money and medals to people that is rightfully their property. Commissioner Fashi and I attended the YWCA Get Out the Vote event. It was unfortunately not well attended. I think they were really trying to just it was a bipartisan effort to engage people about registering to vote. And it was a lovely day, but I'm sure they will try and figure out how to maybe generate a little bit more interest. It was great. People were there trying to encourage people to register to vote. The entire board attended a tour of the Franklin County's municipal, their facilities. And we had a brief meeting with that board, just begin to establish a nice collaborative working relationship with them as we hope to do with all of the neighboring counties. It was a great start, in my opinion. Commissioner Fashi and I attended the Western COG meeting. Jean, I'm sure you'll have more in your update. And I attended the summer festival hosted in Veterans Park by our Sheriff's Department. And you talk about another great event for the community. They were handing out bicycle helmets, backpacks, there were hot dogs, there was face painting, there were dogs, there were kids. It was all in a very good time, controlled mayhem, as I like to say, but they did a wonderful job, and I want to thank them for doing that for the community. It was so well done. Thank you, Jody, Sheriff Jody, and to all of your group.
I was sorry I didn't make it to that, but the sheriff's office is a hit at everything they go to, everything, and they are so nice to kids. And they do those IDs for kids, and it's, and they feed people. They're really great. Yeah, really great.
And I know, I mean, the intent is as it is for National Night Out. It's to engage children, to not be afraid of law enforcement. And so, and I think that is a really positive way to do it. So,
It reminds me of Mr. Rogers talking about, right, who are your helpers, right? Talking to children about who are your helpers.
Right.
And one of them, what he always talked about police officers being helpers. And there's our sheriff's department. They help children. It's them.
Right. And engage with them so
Yes.
well. I also attended, actually, we all attended the Greater Harrisburg Association of Realtors elected officials breakfast. And there again, we had the opportunity to engage with our colleagues from Dauphin and Perry County, the commissioners that were in attendance. And it's always nice to hear what's happening in the other counties. Some things are very, very similar, and then some things about our neighboring counties are very, very different. But we definitely share more similarities than differences. And last but not least, I was this morning at a Cumberland, York area local defense group meeting that KDIC was hosting to try and get the band back together again, I guess, you would say. They have some funding. They're trying to figure out a way to make it meaningful, to have an impact, to engage the community around the local defense groups, because they're such an important part of our, quite frankly, our county. And the economic viability and success of those bases being open for us here. So stay tuned. It was the launch of that, and I will report back if there's anything else. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Falchi.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. I would remind you to use the Cumberland County Library System. The Conservation District has its golf tournament on September 27th. They have a 9 a.m. start time. I know Commissioner Nieder is golfing. I have hats that morning, but I will be joining them in the afternoon. I get to do the awards. I'm very excited about that.
I won't be getting any of those.
I'm golfing not well, but I know you have a nice long drive. So, on September 3rd, I met with Michael Eskridge, who is a member of the Carlisle community, and we talked about his group of the Carlisle Community Networking Alliance, and it's all about those helpers in the community getting together. So there's an event of his I'm going to attend, but he has met with every nonprofit player in Carlisle. We had a really nice conversation. On September 3rd, I also attended Steve Massini of Penn State Health. He retired, so I attended his retirement celebration over in Hershey. On September 4th, Brian Emberg from HRG retired, and I went to his retirement at HRG. And you know, Brian Emberg has been so instrumental in our Cumberland County Bridge program. And you know, in the HRG offices, there's this big photo, I know I've talked with you about this before, of Orr's Bridge. And there it is, and how beautiful it is. It's got that nice curve in it, which adds some extra work for engineers. So I was glad to be there for his retirement. September 5th, the LEPC met, the Local Emergency Planning Committee, and I would remind everyone that October 30th, 2024 is their annual summit. And this year it's called Whole Community. So you think you're prepared. You have until October 4th to register. I will be there all day on October 30th. So I hope you'll join me. Talked about the Get Out the Vote event, talked about the childcare town hall. And the press on that was beautiful. I don't know if you got to see what the news did with that, but it was a really good report on that particular event. Also on September 5th, the Cumberland Perry Drug and Alcohol Community Advisory Board met. And so October 10th to November 21, at the Carlisle Family YMCA, there's the Strengthening Families program for parents and youth 10 to 14. There's free childcare for kids under the age of 10. So if you have a kid that you want to attend this program with, and you have other children, they're going to help you out with that. It's to support your youth in resisting negative peer pressure, improve family communication, and help your youth do better in school. So this is a really nice program. Oh, and you also get a free meal. So it starts Tuesday, September 17th, 5:30 to 8. You can't beat it. Free childcare, free meal, and a great program.
There's a program, Shippensburg has a program called Ship Be Kind, hashtag Ship Be Kind, from the Shippensburg Community Resource Coalition. The Be Kind movement brings awareness of the importance of kindness in everyone's lives during November 10th through the 16th. So just making you aware of that. And they're also having an annual clothing sale, September 2nd to October 4th. You can order online. It's great Be Kind sweatshirts and t-shirts. And finally, with this commission, September is celebrating Recovery Month. And so they're doing so many things for Recovery Month. And today, 10 to 2, at Soldiers and Sailors Grove, is the in Harrisburg. There's an event with activities and demonstrations, speakers, food trucks, mobile clinic tours. And I'm sorry I won't be able to make it to that, but I'm sure lots of people will. And attended the Stop Violence Against Women team meeting on September 6th. Again, what a collaboration of great helpers in our community. And on September 9th, Kelly and I attended the Western COG. A couple of really interesting things came out of that meeting. One was their salt bids. And they talked about what a great rate for salt the CapCog gets. And they had pulled out of CapCog and are considering returning to that just because of the price of salt. So I thought that was interesting. And then Kelly and I, we had a lot of conversation with them about voter rolls. And who's on the voter roll? How can you be registered to vote in 2 states? What prevents people from doing that? And so I think maybe it would be good for Bethany maybe to go out and talk with them, you know, because they have that time for speakers. So I will ask her if she's interested in doing that. And that's it.
Okay, that's a lot. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, handful of items here. I think most of you are on the update list regularly for the MH IDD. But Annie did give me a couple of things just to put in reminders for. Of course, the walk-in center project is progressing. I guess they're still tracking for opening Q4. The Connections Health Solutions contractor is in the process of doing hiring right now. September 17 to 19 is when they're holding their hiring event. So, you know, you're getting closer when they're starting to fill the positions. There is a website for those, ICIMS.com. It's the Connections Health Solutions website. They've also been very much engaging the community. This facility is going to require a lot of public knowledge and knowledge of those who pass along public knowledge. So they've been very active during the construction phase of doing community meetings and meetings with selected groups and such to really push the message out there, attending health fairs and such. So, you know, we have high hopes that's going to be an important component of our mental health solution for this county as well. So best wishes to them. We'll stay attuned to what they're doing and are anxious for them to get online and get services up and running. So on the budget side, which is of course where a lot of the attention has been, Office of Mental Health Services has provided the new allocation figures, but that's just for the new portion. This is the $20 million that came out of the new budget. And as we suspected, that's being carved up a lot of different directions. That's resulted in a number of $443,000 is the allocation that Cumberland's going to get. And that's on top of the previous new allocation, brings the total to $796,000, which is far short of the $3.5 million deficit that we're facing on that issue. So challenge continues. Some heavy lift needs to be done on that, obviously. Let's see, Mark was just on a little while ago. He, on the IDD side, provided a listing of their budget update, and they received 27 community living waivers and 3 consolidated waivers. It's a substantial number. It equates to about $3 million in annualized funding. It's on the IDD side, not the MH side. So that's considered a good year. And it will support, he says, 30 additional individuals with waiver services. So some good news coming out of that budget. Again, take our wins that we can find.
Gary, I've had a brief conversation with Annie concerning, I guess, President Biden signed an order directing healthcare providers to pay for mental health services and treatment services. So I've asked her to, I don't oftentimes keep up with a lot of the federal regulation and what's happening there, but I know that that's going to be critical for funding for the walk-in center if we can get healthcare companies. So she has indicated she will keep this board abreast of if there's any movement on that action. So
That raises a lot of questions where that's coming from, and is it passed or is it an executive action? So we'll add that to the list. Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to recycling, quite a bit there. I'll trim this down a bit. So the authority is facing kind of a inflection point here coming up. I think some of you may be aware of it, but the waste management plan that is in place is going to require us to take an action next year. The authority is set to expire in 2025. And the waste management plan actually recommends letting that authority expire. So we're going to be getting additional information on that. Since they do not any longer have the dedicated funding stream, that has always been an organization somewhat in limbo on life support from its reserves. And they knew they were facing significant change. But what will happen there is that will be absorbed into the recycling function of Kirkstone's planning department. So they do have 2 members who are not seeking another term after this year. Their terms expire at the end of this year. They have one who has left his employment and his status is unknown, and one's taken a job in Virginia. So we're quickly depleting that board as it is. I believe they still are going to want to appoint for the interim period. I think that was recommended by solicitors. So it will convert instead to a solid waste advisory committee. So there will still be a committee. So there will be sorry about that. And that will mark the end of their 50-year run as an authority. Functionally, they had already transitioned that because they don't have the powers of authority to float bonds and such. That took place about a decade ago. So next year we'll be looking at that, but we will be getting, I presume they'll be providing names, but if anybody wants to propose a name, that would certainly be an opportunity for that to occur. So the county will be the implementing entity for the waste management plan that was reauthorized last year. Their meeting was normally to be Monday the 16th. That is canceled, which is going to enable me to attend the Capital Region Council instead. So they also had a meeting at Hampton Township with the municipalities regarding yard waste recycling equipment. This is a process that's been underway for a while. They're making, I think, good headway on a transition there. Hampton is fully set to take the equipment. The question before that was asked was, how soon are we willing to make the transfer? And Kirk is certainly working on that answer. We're talking to DEP to make sure all the details are taken care of there. A lot of questions about how the capital funds will be allocated. Some debate over that, but Hampton's ready to step up on this. For the interim, they have their insurance provider was there, stated they see no problems. They still have to determine the insurance implications of the other municipalities that would be involved. Again, this is on the interim basis, but they're continuing their work. Lisa Quinn was there, who's their authority solicitor, along with their public works folks. So they gave a detailed accounting of the development of the authority concept. No surprise, we know all that's going to take some time, but they are moving forward with that. And several of the municipalities for this year did go out on a joint bid in some cases for grinding. So that issue is quickly resolving itself. And I know we heard a lot of pushback, frankly, on the problems created by the rapid demise of the program by the county that was unavoidable. But they are getting their hands around the situation, and it sounds like it's getting better. And it was a very cordial meeting. I think a very productive meeting. And the only question really remaining is how many of those municipalities are interested in joining the nascent authority versus going their own route or continuing to use contract grinding. I think Kevin Plaster from Shippensburg made the point that they did the contract grinding route. They provided some of their own labor, but he said they were amazed at how smooth it went, and all things considered, that it was much more price competitive. So gradually, I think our partner organizations are finding some good answers there. And we're well on the way to a transition in which we still have that community service available, but the responsibility resides where it should at the municipal level. So
Gary, something you mentioned and that's concerning to me. So if we're talking about transferring the equipment to Hampton on a temporary basis, but if the authority never gets formed or no one wants to work with that, then we've essentially just transferred the equipment to Hampton without engaging with the other municipalities to see their interests. So
Hampton's agreement will require that there's shared access, and they are discussing with DEP now the types of contingencies that could result, which is positive, because I anticipate some of these municipalities will not, and therefore they'll need another solution, and it goes to the heart of the financial viability of the authority potentially as well. So those questions are on the table. DEP is going to have to provide some of those, but it will not revert simply to Hampton that they get to keep it.
yeah, and I think, well, I guess this board will need to have an understanding maybe from Kirk and Justin prior to just transferring anything as to really where what the end game is going to be. So yeah, please continue to let us know on that.
All right, and I
would assume, based upon what is here, what I'm reading that Justin sent to us, that if Hampton is doing an MOU that is being distributed to all parties that will allow for near-term use of equipment, I'm going to assume Keith will see that.
I would assume that too.
Yeah.
I recall that Kirk's office, Justin, came up with, I think, a page that had requirements that must be met before there be any transfer equipment. And I would have every expectation that we're going to see that type of agreement here.
Thank you.
We need to.
Yeah.
Do we need to clarify that with them or anything, just so they're on the same page, or is it understood?
I was under the impression that was made clear to them, but we can follow up.
I'll send them a note just to look at. So that's all I have in departments. In terms, I'll just reiterate some of the things that were said about some of the community events. Realtors annual thing is always a good thing. We had nice opportunity there to talk with our colleagues in the other counties again. And I think there are some tremendous partnerships that are there as this board proceeds on its stated path of strategic planning. We are going to need information sources. I think they could be a very valuable one to help on a number of things that we have stated we want to see continue or begin in Cumberland County. So we have a very good relationship with them, and I think there's going to be more opportunities to discuss with them. The Williams Grove event, I just have to put in my own plug for that. That used to be the old Rangers picnic, and that's in the gym here in our backyard. I was happy to see the Katy folks were there and talking to them actively about. They do some promotion for them now, but it is a tremendous event. It's essentially now a steam engine convention. It's no longer the Rangers picnic, even though a lot of old timers, including myself, still call it that. So that is really a great historical asset because it is a living example of the early industrial age of America and how we got things done in this country that created a great economic power. So it was a wonderful tour opportunity. I always gravitate toward the steam sawmill because my dad, when he was a miner, frankly, was employed in a steel sawmill. So it shows you that this is now passing from something that was in our parents' and grandparents' lifetime to being something of a novelty in our lifetime to a new generation that's coming in and looking at this. And we really need to continue to see the understanding of that type of message. As a historical asset, I'm really pleased to see that they're engaging the community and engaging the elected officials as well. So.
And Gary, I hope PADIC does do more promotion of event. It's a little painful to hear of things being hidden gems, and it's the second time I've used that just this morning, and AHEC was the other example. So hopefully they will embrace and engage with them, because it does really rely upon pulling in visitors for them to be sustaining, self-sustaining people from outside of just Cumberland County. And I too grew up going to the Grange picnic, reluctantly maybe as a child, but you know, the trades are cool now.
Steam, it's still recounting how you ride on the steam train, you go, if you're reading, don't do this, because you're gonna have black soot.
Well, exactly, it's on you.
Methods are fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't want to hear any complaints about climate emissions. Okay.
Yeah, you will. All right.
Okay, well, thank you all. And that takes us into agenda item 23. And I would like to report that on September 5, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. There was an executive session regarding personnel. And now I'll ask if there is any other business to come before the board today. Hearing none and seeing none, we are adjourned.